Hello to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and my Limitless tribe. Welcome to the Limitless show again on this Wednesday evening. And I feel so great coming back to you one after another episode with amazing guests and loads of learning, such diversified areas which we talk about from, hypnotherapy to NLP to, mental emotions and spirituality to whatnot, to yoga. So it's like amazing endeavor, and you keep coming back, keep appreciating, applauding, and that keeps us going. So today I have with me again another amazing guest. Her name is Neha Pant Tewari, and she was a corporate warrior for about a decade, and then she turned into a happiness coach. She's also a certified NLP practitioner, and she is experienced in different areas of consulting and banking. She's also the founder of Your Success Story, which is based out of Pune. Now, she also helps people understand the art and science of happiness because she is a happiness coach, and she creates happiness at will so they can lead a life that's more engaged and meaningful. She has impacted close to about 15K people so far through her venture, Your Success Story. So let's welcome Neha with a round of applause. Hello, Neha. Welcome to the Limitless show. Thank you so much for joining me over here.
Hello, Anshu. Thank you so much for having me. Good evening to all you lovely audiences out there. Let's rock it together today.
Yes,
It's an honor to be
absolutely.
with you today, Anshu. Thank you so much for inviting.
My pleasure. So, Neha, why don't we start with your journey? I mean, you are also the wife of a military officer, plus three generations of your family is into military. So, coming into first of all the corporates, and then from the corporates, the move over here. So, I'm sure you have had a long and very, very inspiring journey. Why don't you share it with the audience?
Sure, Anshu. So you're absolutely right. I apart from being a youth mentor, apart from being a Reiki healer, apart from being a tea lover, apart from being a home baker, I'm also a military wife, a mother, and the founder of Your Success Story. And as you rightly said, I'm the third generation Fauji bacha or a Fauji wife now, and it has been an immensely interesting journey, enriching journey, as I would call it, because of
Mm-hmm.
all the learning, unlearning, and relearning that happened along the way in my life, at almost every step of my life for that matter. So, right after my MBA, which I did from SIMS, I went on to become a retail banker. I worked with country's premier bank in their retail banking department as a personal banker for quite a few years. And then I moved on to consulting. I worked in one of the big fours at one of their major business verticals for many number of years. And then I decided to take a conscious and long sabbatical. And
Mm-hmm.
this is when I worked on my own ikigai. I
Okay.
worked on my own key strengths. I worked
Mm-hmm.
on my own value systems. I worked on my own ecology in terms of what will work for me and what will not, given the
Mm-hmm.
nomadic lifestyle that we military wives have. But more importantly, Anshu, I worked on aligning my mind, body, and spirit to the work that I do. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted my work to be my second nature. I did not want there to be too much of a distance or a difference between who I am and what I do. And that is how I ventured very, very organically into mentoring, coaching, and training, and found my niche in happiness coaching and personal development. And that, I think, is pretty much how your success story was also born. So, if I may tell you a little about what your success story is all about and how it only
Mm-hmm.
began, as a part of my life,
Sure.
I am the first generation entrepreneur in my life. My family, as you rightly put it, is full of Fajis, full of government servants. I think I'm the
Right.
only black sheep or the only odd man out in my family. So I say that with a lot of pride that I'm doing something stark different, and I've ventured into something which probably none of my family members have really gone into.
Right.
And, with the help of tribes, with the help of people like you, it has been an awesome journey for me so far. Now, I have been in the space of positive psychology and personal development for a while now. What I realized is that people understand the importance of creating positive changes in their lives, but not many are able to make those changes happen. Why? Because it isn't easy. And the reason why it isn't easy is because it takes beyond time, energy, and effort to make these changes happen. It
Right.
requires a tweaking in the mindset, which requires expertise, and it also requires practice. So
Yes.
while there is willingness, right now, so while there is willingness, while there is awareness, the ability is missing. And that is where I jump in, to address that knowledge action gap. Now, the ability may be missing for n number of reasons. The ability may be missing because of lack of self awareness. Maybe people are not aware of what they want in their life. Perhaps they do not know how badly is it what they want in their life. How much of life are they willing to exchange in order to attain that? And even if they know these two things, perhaps they do not believe in the superpowers which they have within themselves, which are
Yes.
probably lying dormant
Yes.
to make those changes happen. So I started your success story with a vision to reintroduce people to their own geniuses and to
Yes.
to kind of reconnect them to their authentic selves so they could make these changes happen and curate and alter their very own success stories. That really was the whole idea behind starting your success story. Now, after I did my happiness coaching, after I did my course in positive psychology from Berkeley's, I there is one thing which is very important, which I wanted people to take home when they work with me. That is understanding the equation between happiness and success. So Anshu, for I think most of the people, and for me as well, maybe a couple of years back, people tend to think that once they become successful, will they be happy in their life? So, success is a precursor for happiness. The equation for them is hard work, success, happiness, right? Now, I want people to understand that in reality, happiness is the precursor to success. Success is actually an offset of happiness. The more happy you are, the more motivated you will be, and the more successful you will become. So, this is the equation which I want people to understand and relook at when they start working with me. And these two were the basic underlying assumptions when I started your success story.
Thank you so much, Neha, for sharing that. So nowadays, I see a lot of happiness coaches all around. So, what do you mean, first of all, by a happiness coach? And what exactly does a happiness coach do?
Awesome. Awesome. That's a great question. So, I'll tell you what, happiness coaching is not so much about pushing happiness into people's life as much as it is coaching people to not be unhappy. It is not about moving people from a place of unhappiness to a place of happiness as much as it is about moving people from a place of unhappiness to a place of non unhappiness. You realize the difference when I say that? So,
Yes.
positive psychology claims and it assumes that all individuals are happy, whole, and complete. It is a basic human nature. It is a core human nature to be happy and complete within our own selves. We
Yes.
cannot be devoid of this true nature for a very long time until we decide to dwell on that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and the second thing that positive psychology assumes is or claims is that nothing in life or nobody in your life can bring you permanent joy or bring you lasting happiness. But despite the fact that nobody can bring you, while nothing in the world can bring you permanent happiness, it is our nature to be happy, whole, and complete. How beautiful and how deep is that, right? So,
Yes.
to give you an example, when a child is born happy, right? A child needs reasons to be unhappy, correct? Now, as
Yes.
we grow up, does this equation remain the same or does it change? It changes, right? It takes a 180-degree flip backwards. We
Hmm.
tend to start looking for reasons to
To
become
be unhappy.
happy in life, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and the reason for that, Anshu, is, what? Unhappiness, negativity, frustration becomes our default state of being. And happiness coaching is simply about realigning this equation to its original form. So, what I do is I create happiness at will, I create positive emotions, and I create direct access. We, as happiness coaches, ensure that there is a lot of positive emotion around you and you can access it on demand. That is pretty much what I do.
Wonderful, wonderful. In Indian scriptures,
Yeah.
it's called Ananda. I mean, they call it
Huh.
like, Ananda is a state. It's a natural state for every human being. In English, it's called bliss. And that is the state which is given by nature to us, but by all the conditioning that happens after the time we are born, since we are in the environment of the material wealth and all the people. And so, whatever we see all around us, we start getting, yeah, conditioned to be unhappy in our lives. We start losing out on that bliss, which is our nature.
How
So
beautifully
true.
put, Anshu. Very well put, actually.
Yes. So now, what is happiness really? What exactly is happiness, and why are we always looking for this happiness, and how can we achieve it? Neha, is it possible to achieve happiness if we look for it?
Great question again, great question again, especially after this Ananda and Chitananda and Dirghananda, episode which you have spoken about. So, scriptures also say, so happiness is actually a state of mind, Anshu. It is actually a self generated state of mind, which may or may not be stimulated or influenced by an external stimuli. Now, as a state of mind, happiness is always present within us. But is it as accessible as it is present? Not really. And the reason for that, as you rightly pointed out, is our negative mind, the clutter in our mind. Because 50 to 80% of the times, our mind is cluttered with negativity. It is cluttered with negative memories. It is cluttered with negative self talk. It is cluttered with negative thoughts and belief patterns, with negative feelings. It is cluttered with negative emotions or unresourceful emotions, for that matter.
Yes.
And
Yes.
therefore, finding and accessing the state of mind which is present within us but cluttered with negativity tends to be a challenge for all of us. So until and unless we work on our mental state, we work on our our mindset, attaining happiness remains a challenge for each one of us. Now that is reason number 1. The
Mm-hmm.
other reason is the very nature of happiness. Happiness is highly elusive by nature, When I say elusive, what I mean is that happiness does not remain static. The finish line of happiness keeps moving with time,
Yes.
It grows as we grow in our life, as we evolve in our life. So
Yes.
you think you will be happy when you attain XYZ in your life,
Yes.
but as soon as you attain that XYZ in your life, your mind is already calibrating the next happiness goal. And
Yes.
therefore, attaining happiness and sustaining happiness over a longer period of time tends to be a universal pursuit and a constant chase for all of
Yes.
us.
Yes. So is it possible that this it can be and first of all, I mean, why do we keep running after it? I mean, that's the next question. Why is a human being always looking for happiness? He's always looking for success, he's always looking for happiness. These are the two things that he's always looking for, because he believes that if I become successful in my, maybe my health challenges, in my career, in my relationship, I will become happy, because final pursuit is of happiness. But he thinks that,
Exactly.
yeah.
So,
He thinks
you
that
time
these are
your
the
happiness.
things. Yeah.
So, you're tying your happiness to your success. You are starting to relate happiness to your success. You're not able to differentiate between the two in a physical and mental world. And therefore, you're always looking to be successful because you're tying for happiness with your success. And as
Right.
an individual, as a soul, people's ultimate pursuit is what? People's ultimate pursuit is peace of mind and happiness. That is the ultimate pursuit that people want in their life by the end of the day. People eat because they want to be happy. People get married because they want to be happy. People work because they want to be happy working. People, probably produce children because they want to be happy being mothers and fathers. So, ultimate pursuit of a human nature, the very basic human nature, if we talk about, is towards happiness. That is what our soul desires. And when you tie your happiness goals to your success goals, there you are. Both these things tend to become a universal pursuit and a constant chase. And not just that, Anshu, not just that. Now, here is what the thing is. The moment you achieve, say, suppose, I'll tell you what. Now, if you observe individuals in your surroundings, what you will notice is that people have a set formula for success, okay? And that formula has been handed down to them from generations. The formula is you work hard, you will be successful. When you're successful, then you will be happy. This is a gospel truth that we have all raised ourselves believing, right?
Yes.
This is
Yes.
something which society has preconditioned us. This
Yes.
is something which has been taught to us from our parents, from the society, from our educational
Yes.
institutions, from the office
Yes.
culture that we work at,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
therefore we are preconditioned to believe that success is the precursor of happiness, okay?
Yes.
So if you want to be happy, it comes with a condition. The condition is that you have to be successful. So success tends to be perceived as a prerequisite for happiness, and that
Yes.
is what explains a lot of motivators that we have based on this belief pattern. When I will be happy when I lose 10 kgs in my life. I will be happy when I hit that promotion. I
Yes.
will be happy when I hit that sales target. I will
Yes.
be happy when I make that X amount of money. I will be happy when I get into that particular relationship. So, happiness tends to be conditional to success. Okay. And as it is, we are conditioned in our minds to think of, happiness being our aim, to think of success as a precondition for happiness. Now, here is what neuroscience has to say about the relationship between success and happiness. Neuroscience says that happiness is actually, in reality, success is an offset of happiness. Happiness is the precursor to success. So, the equation,
Right.
so to say, is progress equals happiness, and happiness is what gives rise to success. So, your optimism and your happy state of mind causes you to be more motivated, causes you to be more engaged, causes
And
you
more
to be more
inspired.
and more progressive and more productive. So, this
Yes.
is something which people should understand and not tie the two goals together. Because, ultimately what happens is when you attain success, the next goal is a bigger success. And if you have tied your happiness before, I mean, after success, then what are you doing? You're pushing happiness even further away, right? You're pushing success away, and you're pushing happiness over the horizon for that matter. So this is how, the two of things kind of come together.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Actually, happiness is the precursor for success, because if the state of mind is not going to be positive, not going to be excited and engrossed with what it wants to achieve, then of course, I mean, you cannot work towards it. That inspiration will not come. And
100%.
of course, and success will elude you. It might come also, but it will not remain for a very long period of time. It will be a temporary thing. So true.
100%.
And how can we get it then? Next question is, Neha, then how can we get it? Because we keep running after it, all true, all said and done. So, how do we maintain this state of happiness all throughout?
Okay. So that's a great question again. So your happiness is the result of your daily interactions, the quality of your daily interactions, and the quality of your daily engagements, and your daily habits of happiness. So, the bigger part is the daily habits of happiness. Let me talk a little about that with you today. So, habits of happiness is what? Habits of happiness are those rituals, those practices, those actions and behaviors, which, when done or practiced over a consistent period of time, put you in a more resourceful state. They put you in a more uplifting frame of mind. So you are more progressive, more productive, and more agile. All right. So, what are these happiness habits? So, there are a number of them. Let me talk about the three basic habits with you all today. First is physical exercise. Okay. Now, when I say physical exercise, what I essentially mean is movement of your body, any kind of a physical movement. When you're able to move your body for a roughly 20 minutes, and uh, when you do that for over a consistent period of time, you will experience surge of a neurotransmitter, which is called as endorphin. What is endorphin?
Right.
Endorphin is a natural mood lifter. It is a natural mood lifter that our body produces. It instantly lifts your mood up. It makes you more agile. It makes you more energetic. And it makes you, like you say, more inspired and more motivated to take on new tasks. So, physical exercise or moving your body is one. And when I say physical exercise or moving your body, I don't mean a strenuous exercise at the gym. And I don't mean running or jogging, although those are included. But even if you're at one place, stretching your limbs, stretching your limbs and doing
Right.
any kind of an anti-gravity movement, that also is qualifies for a movement of your body. So
Right.
moving your body for 20 minutes is definitely going to put you in a better mood or a better state of mind. The second one, Anshu, is gratitude. A lot has been said about gratitude, and here is what my 2 cents are. So, gratitude is what? Gratitude is focusing on your blessings consciously, right? If you are able to recall three things that you're grateful for and the reason why, and if you're able to practice this for about 3 weeks, you will be able to shift your mindset from a state of pessimism to a state of optimism. This is a research backed fact. The third is, and I'm sure it doesn't come as a surprise to anyone, third one is meditation. Now, lot has been said about meditation. There is so much which is written in the medical journals as well as in the psychology journals. But this is what I want to share with you today. Practicing meditation for about 20 minutes every day alters the physical structure of your brain. It tends to shrink your amygdala and it tends to optimize your hippocampus. What that essentially means is you become less reactive and you become more responsive. All right. So, when that happens, you become more and more centered, you become more and more calmer. And when
Right.
you become calm and centered, that state of mind, which we tend to call happiness, becomes more and more accessible to you. That is how the magic happens. So, remember in the beginning, we spoke about not being able to assess happiness, access happiness because of clutter and because of negativity.
Yes.
Meditation is the antidote for that. So, if
Yes.
you're able to inculcate these habits, which are free of cost, they do not cost you anything. The only thing which you're required to do is carve some time out and make your mental health your priority. You will be able to shift your mindset.
Yes, absolutely. Very well, put across, I think, and very, very helpful, definitely. So, since you spoke about meditation, and you are also an NLP practitioner, so I wanted to ask you, do you use the NLP techniques while helping people with their vision and their happiness?
100%, yes. So, I'll tell you what, positive psychology already has a lot of tools. It already has a lot of tools in place, but NLP techniques can also be used in case you want to kind of, especially when it comes to imagery, especially when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to sensory acuity. You can definitely come up with a lot of NLP techniques, especially the swish, and especially the
Yes.
things where it talks about sensory acuity to do with word imagery and all of that, adding colors to your vision and all of that. So definitely those things can be done. And what can be done is writing gratitude journals. So as a practice, what we do is we kind of point out three things that we are grateful for. The other thing that you can do is simply start imagining meeting that particular person who has made a positive difference in your life. Sit in one place, imagine meeting that person, whether dead or alive. If alive, much better. Add all the possible colors to it. Do not see a black and white reel. See a colorful reel, and simply start sending this person the vibrations of gratitude, the vibrations of being consciously thankful. And that will shift your mindset altogether. If you're able to do it for even 20 minutes or even 10 minutes or even 5 minutes, to begin with, it'll make a shift in your mind. So yes, NLP, emotional intelligence, positive psychology, all these things come together in various facets, and then we come up with my programs.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we already spoke about, that happiness is indeed the precursor to money and success both. I mean, with success comes money. So I think,
100%.
they follow each other. Happiness comes first. So we first need to work on our mental health, our mindset, get into a more happy and a positive mode, get success, and of course the money, and even I think good relationship, everything starts falling in place. If the
Yes.
mindset is good, everything else starts taking shape. So now in the beginning, I introduced you and I called you a corporate warrior. So in the first place, why do you call yourself a corporate warrior? And when
I
you
am.
were, oh, yeah, another question. So, when you were a corporate warrior, what were the challenges that you saw people facing, and what were the challenges that you yourself faced till the time you were there in the corporate world? And now that you look at it from a third person's perspective or as a coach's perspective.
Sure. Great question again, Anshu. So, your first question was, why do I call myself a warrior? Because
Yes.
I am a warrior class. Given the fact that I'm a third generation army, that warrior badge is something which I wear with a lot of pride. So, I call myself a corporate warrior. I've been there, I've done that, I've fought my battles, and I've always come victorious. So, that is what signifies my warriorship. It's just a word, but there is a lot of pride which is associated with that. Your second question was, what are those few things which I saw as a mental health challenge while I was a part of corporate life? If I'm
Yes.
correct, is that what the question was? Brilliant.
Yes, you saw others also facing the same, and you yourself, kind of went through those same tribulations and same challenges that generally everyone faces.
Sure. So, while I was in EY, I think it is one of the best companies to work for. I did not face any challenge whatsoever except the time when it was a season time. When there is a tax filing and the other things, that is a given. You have to take that kind of a stress. So that was always there. But a few times when the workload is way too much, right? And when you are unable to say no to your superiors, right? That emotional intelligence, the lack of emotional intelligence, that is something which causes a lot of stress to people. So people tend to find it very difficult to grow their adversity quotient and to grow their coping mechanisms. These are two very, very basic things which I saw a lot of people suffering with or dealing with or kind of hustling with. So growing that coping mechanism, also growing that coping mechanism in the sense you kind of formulating and constructing your support group, your social circle of influence, right? So because what happens when there is stress at your workplace, when it is an organic stress, You cannot leave your workplace just because it is stressful. That is not the first line of defense that you will do, right? What you will
Right.
do is find
Mm-hmm.
ways to cope that stress. Create an alternate environment. Am I right? Create an alternate environment. Kaise hoga? You need to start engaging with other people. You need to start engaging in hobbies and tasks which are more fulfilling for you. But half the time, you only have weekends for that. So
Yes.
during the days, that kind of a thing cannot take place. So coping
Right.
mechanism, developing a coping mechanism and developing your adversity quotient and dealing with your EQ challenges, these were broadly speaking three
Right.
things which I thought were something which people
Mm-hmm.
were struggling with. Fourth
Right.
thing that people were struggling with, myself included, not being able to follow our passion. I think these were the only four things, because ultimately, Anshu, your happiness depends upon 40% of your happiness is derived from the quality of your interactions and the quality of your engagement. Okay. So if you're unable to feel happy about what you're doing, if you're
Right.
unable to derive pleasure from the engagement or the task at hand, if
Right.
you're feeling deprived in any way when it comes to being able to practice your passion or your hobbies, it may have an impact on your happiness.
Absolutely. And it does happen. I also have been a part of the corporates for more than a decade, and I vouch for the same stuff which you just mentioned over here. So we generally we are never able to follow our passion. We just have to do things, which we are supposed to do, whether we agree to it, we do not agree to it, whether, I mean, same. I think, we all go through the same things. And then only there are a few courageous who fall out of that
Yeah.
rat race to follow their passion. Not everyone can gather that courage. So, kudos to you, me, and people like us who have been able to get out of it and follow their passion. And I encourage everyone who's watching this show today that, courage is a precursor again. If you want to follow your passion, your happiness, your success, then you need to gather that courage and just take a chance, believe in the almighty, believe in yourself, have that confidence, and just start doing what you love to do. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think that was a lovely share. So now, does our genes or DNA affect happiness? Are we
My
born
God,
a certain way?
that's a very, very relevant question, Anshu. That's a very important question. And believe you me when I say this, back in the day when I did my research to understand the relationship between happiness and genetics, I was taken by surprise. It really is true. I'll tell you why. So here is what the thing is, okay? If you see the entire happiness as 100% component, okay, 10% of your happiness is attributed to possibly your external circumstances, money, fame, power, looks, all right.
Right, right.
40% and remaining is what? Remaining is 90%, all right. So out of this 90%, 50% of your happiness, which is half your happiness, is determined by your genetics, it is determined by your biology.
Oh my
Which is
God.
to say, yeah,
Hmm.
which is to say that you may be a carrier of a certain genes which
Hmm.
predisposes you to
Hmm.
feelings of anxiety and depression, or
Right.
having a general negative outlook in life, you know
Hmm.
maybe unhappiness, so as to say. Or you may be a carrier of a certain genes which predisposes you to a feeling of general well-being, optimism and hope, which actually is happiness. Okay, so genetics does play a role when it comes to determining happiness. As a matter of fact, 2016 mein they had a study which
Hmm.
actually said that there is this particular genes. If I remember correctly, the name of the genes is 5-HTT-LPR. This is the
Hmm.
genes which is associated with general sense of well-being, the greater life satisfaction, that is what this genes determines if you're a carrier of that. So genetics has a role to play. But here is where it gets even more interesting. I don't want to get into a detail about that because I'm not an expert on epigenetics, but people who understand the concept of epigenetics will be able to relate to what I'm saying. Every genes, in order to be able to tangibly affect your life, has to be dominant, has to express itself. And guess what influences the expression of genes? Can you guess it? The
No, I
environment.
can't. The
It is
environment.
environment.
Okay.
Okay. So genetics and environment both put together has almost about 50% or more impact on happiness. Out of this, now that we're talking about deconstructing happiness, now 10% is external reality, 50% is what? 50% is our genetics, right? Biology and genetics. Bacha kitna? 40%. Now the remaining component of 40%, notwithstanding the fact that you may be born with a depressive genes, 40% of this component can be managed, can be manipulated in order to make you either less miserable or more happy, as the case may be. And that is the reason why I say that happiness is hackable. That is the core of happiness components.
So that brings me, I mean, that gives me another question in my mind, Neha. I think this was pretty interesting. I never knew that almost like 50% of our happiness is based on the genes. So, on second thought, if I'm born to parents who are by default happy go lucky kind of people, then won't it be possible that I will also have a very good environment around me, because by default they are the happy sorts. So nor only am I carrying the happy gene inside of me, plus also the good environment around me. Now on the other
Interesting.
side, the negative
100%.
side is,
That is a very
if
interesting question. But like I said, I'm not an expert on epigenetics. All I know is that it is a combination of environment and genes, and it depends upon the expression of the genes,
yes,
as and
and
when
which
the
is
gene
dependent on
expression.
the environment.
Yes. Because you may be aware of the fact that we all are carriers of cancer genes. Each one
Right.
of us has the cancer genes. But do we all have cancer? By grace of God, no. A few of us
Yes,
do have cancer, right?
yes,
Now
yes.
that genes has to express itself in order for cancerous cells to start growing. Same thing applies to genetics in general, right? So this is how it works. So it is
Beautiful,
a genetic
beautiful.
influence. It is also the influence of your environment. So it depends
Yes.
upon what your destiny, how your destiny kind of puts the two and two together. So that is what it boils down to ultimately.
Right, right. But again, again, it boils down to the fact that we are the creators of our own destiny. So I think,
Absolutely, absolutely. Karma is absolutely unto us. 100%
yeah.
with you on that one.
Genes is not something which we can control, but our environment, once we start understanding, I'm not talking in childhood, of course, but at least when we are adults and we are able to control, our life, I think we can control our environment if we really want to.
So yeah, so let me now that you're talking about how genetics, and now that we're talking about the myths, so to say, the myths of happiness, let me also tell you what is the relationship between money and happiness. Okay, so a lot of people tend to think that money can buy happiness, right? So here is what I do want to tell you. What happens when you go to a particular mall? What happens when you're able to spend money possibly on fine dining with your family or your friends, right? When you're able to buy that dress or that pair of shoe or that piece of jewelry or that bag, which you have been eyeing for a very, very long time. Or perhaps when you're able to spend money on buying that ticket, that particular vacation which you've always wanted to go, you feel
Yes,
elated, you feel really happy and excited, right? You are super
yes,
happy, as a matter of fact, correct? Now, for
yes,
how long can you sustain that happiness? In case of a meal, you can probably sustain it till the next meal. In case of
right.
a dress or in case of a materialistic pleasure, I think the
Mm-hmm.
answer is till you wear it or for next 42 to 24 hours, right? In case of a vacation, till probably you enjoy the vacation since
Enjoyed
it's
the
your experience,
vacation.
and then
The
it
day
takes a
you're
toll
back.
as you hit home, right?
Right.
So, right now, here is the answer to that question. Since we are debunking the myths, money can buy you short term happiness, it can buy you comforts, it can buy you security, which may or may not lead you to a long term or a short term happiness or a pleasure based happiness.
Right.
But as far as your long term happiness is concerned,
Hmm.
money, power, fame, looks, all these things
Hmm.
contribute only to about 10% of your happiness. What
Right.
about the rest 90%? It purely depends upon how your brain processes your external reality, the kind of filters you use to view the external reality.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. The
the
kind of
kind of
stories you
internal
form in your mind.
communication that you use. All right, so when
Yes.
you talk about genetics and when you talk about the environment, you need to keep that thing in mind, that which are the filters which are at your disposal because of your genetics that you will be able to use. You may have a great environment, but if your filter is incorrect, that environment has nothing at all to help you. Correct?
Right, right.
So that is pretty much how it works.
Yes. You saying this brings me, I mean, makes me remember one beautiful book. What do you say when you talk to yourself? So, because end of the day, it's everything that is happening around us. We are giving a meaning to everything, every small thing.
100%.
So, what stories are you forming? What are the meanings that you're generating out of everything that is happening all around you? So, it totally depends. I mean, that directly affects how happy you are going to be or you're not going to be. Because the kind of stories, the same kind of emotions, and, same things. So, I think, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Agree with you 100%.
So now, do you think that always being in a state of happiness is possible? Is it possible? I'm a very positive person. I always think positive, this, that. Okay, fine. My genes are also good. Environment is also good. But do you think that 24 hours in a day, I can be in a happy state? Is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it essential?
No, 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 absolutely not, Anshu. You cannot be in one state of mind all throughout. As a human being, that is not possible because your emotional signature keeps changing all throughout the day, right? Your emotions keep changing, they keep running in a sine curve all throughout the day. So there will always be some time when you feel a dip, there will always be some time when you feel elation. What you should be aiming for, however, is that you should be able to bounce back. The moment you feel low, you should be
Yes.
able to bounce back. That is what
Yes.
resilience and that is what positive good habits ideally means. Okay.
Right.
So that is
Right.
what, yeah. So this is pretty much how it happens. And like I said, nothing in the world can bring you lasting happiness. And what you do for that is create multiple moments of constant and consistent happiness. When you create small moments of happiness, when you start savoring and when you start appreciating smaller things in life, you will be able to create a bigger happiness in your life. And that is what is going to, contain or sustain what we called as an upward spiral in your life.
Yes,
So
I
this
think
is how
it's
you
mainly
create.
about layering them up. What you mean is
Yes,
we layer them up. We are creating
layer them
these
up.
layers. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so we are having a fantastic discussion, and in this round, I have my last question, which is the signature question I ask all my guests. But I'll come to that. Let me just go ahead and acknowledge we have a lot of comments coming in. So we have Kanchan Todi who says, who agrees with whatever we are talking about, and we have someone whose name we cannot see but says good conversation. We have Antonio Win, who gives a smiley, calling out my name. And we have Vaduta V. Swami, who says, excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being there, for appreciating the talk. And thank you. that you are enjoying it and being it with being here with us. So now the last question is, this is the Limitless show, Neha.
Sure.
What according to you is limitlessness, and who according to you are the people that you feel, it's your opinion, who are limitless?
Sure. So, first off, thank you everyone for acknowledging our show. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. Keep them coming. And I'm glad you're resonating with everything that we're talking about tonight. So, keep it rocking. All right. So, to your question, that this is a limitless show, and what exactly is being limitless, in my opinion? Am I correct when I say that?
Yes, yes,
Perfect.
yes,
Perfect. And whom do I think is limitless, right?
yes.
All right, all right. So, limitless, according to me, are people who are authentic, are people who are courageous, are people who are able to live their values to the fullest, are people who are able to determine their key strengths and not afraid to express them and live them to the fullest. These are the people who are limitless according to me. Okay. and
Beautiful.
if you and if you're going to ask me who I think is limitless, the first person that comes to my mind is my own self. I know I have
Perfect.
broken my own limits. I know I have broken, I have moved out of my comfort zone almost every day of my life ever since I've started my entrepreneur journey.
Right.
Today I'm speaking in front of you. There was a time when I was afraid of public speaking. I have
Yes.
broken those shackles, and I have done that without anyone's help, purely because of internal motivation. So kudos
Right.
to me, and kudos to you, and kudos to the Limitless show.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you for your answer, Neha. So we will move on to our lightning bolt round, where I'll be asking you some short and sweet questions,
Okay.
which requires just maybe one word or one liner answers,
One word
more
or
in the
one liner.
lighter
Sure.
vein. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. So just now you talked about values, people who are authentic and who are able to live their values. So that brings me to my next question. What are your top three values?
My top three values. I give three of them.
Yes.
I give three of them, right? Honesty
Hmm?
is number one.
Hmm.
Spirituality is second. Courage is third.
Beautiful. Fill in the blanks. So
Okay.
sadness or sorrow is
Sadness and sorrow is the opposite of happiness and joy.
okay. One daily practice that helps you keep yourself grounded.
Journaling, for sure.
Beautiful. One book that has shifted your thinking.
Louis Hay, Heal Your Life.
Could you repeat that for me?
Louis Hay, Heal Your Life.
Louis
Heal
Hay.
your body and
Oh,
heal your life.
she,
Yes.
yes, yes. The Hay House. She has
Hay
her own.
House. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Worst advice that you ever got in your life.
Oh my God, that is a difficult one to crack. The worst advice which I got in my life was the one which I gave to my own self, which was, let it go, don't pursue it anymore. That was the worst advice which I gave to my own self.
Right. But you realized it. That's the
Yeah.
phenomenal part of the whole thing.
Yes.
Till the time we make mistakes, but we realize them, it's fine.
Yeah, I think, yeah, what you're saying is absolutely right.
Right. So one person who has influenced you the most in your life.
I think my parents, my mother and my father.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. You have the option of going to Disneyland or Hawaii. Either Disneyland or to Hawaii. Which place would you go to?
So I've already been to Disneyland and Disney World. I'd rather go to Hawaii.
Okay, wonderful. Define Neha in one sentence.
Define Neha in one sentence. Uh, Value driven, optimistic, and courageous soul.
Great. Your ultimate happiness song.
Ooh, ultimate happiness song. My goodness. My God, Anshu, where have you got these questions from? I love Annie's song, and that is one song that makes me happy. It calms me down, it brings me a peace of mind. Although it doesn't have too many happy words in that, but that is my go to song every time I feel a little down.
Beautiful. It's your choice, right?
Acha,
Your
theek hai.
happiness song. And the last one, the ultimate truth of life is
Ultimate truth of life is the quality of your life purely depends upon the quality of your relationships. If you want a happier life, invest in happy relationships. That is also my
beautiful.
message to the youth who's watching
Great,
it.
great. So, in fact, yeah, we just finished this round and very well said. So, what is one last message now that Neha, that we are about to, say bye bye? What is one last message you want to give to the audience who's watching you right now?
Sure. So, as I already mentioned, the quality of your relationship is what the quality of your life depends upon. Invest in reciprocal relationships. Invest in those invest in those relationships which will ensure your coping mechanism when things go left, okay, in your life. That is one. Second thing is, find what are your core values. Who are you? Why are you that person? What is it that is significantly uncompromising in your life? And create your life and your career around it, because your success and your happiness will happen only when your pursuits, your actions, your abilities, and your achievements are in alignment, not misalignment. So these are two things which I want all of you to take home from our show today.
Beautiful, Neha. Thank you so much. I think, it was damn good, the kind of things that you shared with the audience. Very, very authentic, very straight from the heart. So, thank you so much. I definitely enjoyed this conversation today, and I think, the audience did the same. So, thank you for joining us over the show, and you have a great week ahead of you.
Thank you so much, Anshu. Likewise, it was a pleasure and an honor to be a part of the Limitless show. I wish you all the success in all your endeavors in life. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
so
night and
much.
Jai Hind.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being with us over here. We just finished with Dashera last weekend, and we are about to come up with Diwali in a few days. I'm sure you are all in a festive mood. There is a lot of cleaning your houses, and a lot of such things are going on. So all of you are very, very busy with all the festivities. So I wish you all the abundance and all the limitlessness in your life. Realize your true spirit, your true values, your true purpose in life, and gather the courage to be yourself and shine in this world. That's the message I leave you with today. God bless you. Have a great week ahead. Good night. Bye bye.